record there. And, well, this is part 2 of Basis 54 with Arron.
Right, hello.
Now, so what time is it there in Ausland? I've got a friend called Mary Rodwell over there, so she's at the same sort of time zone.
Yeah, she's from Perth. She's a Perth girl. It's 8:31 p.m. On your rocket clock, and no, time doesn't exist anyway. But 8:31 in our man-made time construct that goes forward in a linear fashion only. Apparently,
it's designed so you can catch the train.
It's designed for you to get old and die. That's what it is.
Well,
They've tricked us.
Yeah, but it's also designed so you can get that good train, because if you're going to catch the train at midday, you know, everywhere's different, you see. So they had to, and that's what it's for.
Well, Miles, they're talking about bringing in daylight savings here again in Perth, and so the curtains don't fade.
What?
That's a joke. No, it's a joke. Yeah. So the curtains
I believe it. I'd believe it. Yeah, look, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, in Perth, Western Australia, the mentality here is when people are swimming down the beach and they're in the water, flapping around like injured seals, and a shark comes along and takes a bite out of someone, it's in the news, we're going to cull all of the sharks. Like a bunch of hicks, get on the back of the pickup truck with your pitchforks, and go down and kill these natural predators that are just doing their thing in their own habitat. Get rid of them. It's ridiculous over here, mate. It's pretty backwards. But, you know, we do what we can. The wild, wild west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a PowerPoint, or as we say in Belfast, a PowerPoint. I shouldn't say I haven't been to Belfast for ages, but anyway, the whole point of this is we're talking secret space program.
Yes, and maybe some esoterical stuff in there as well, which Dark Fleet and there is some esoterical projects in there, but I've had some experiences. Probably 2012. I was living in an apartment in Melbourne with a girlfriend and her daughter, my stepdaughter, and it was number 13A, and it was built on an old abattoir. And somebody had always had an interest in Nazi Germany in the Second World War, and always wanted to know, like, okay, it's so close after the First World War. How did this happen? How did such a 74 million people or whatever, Hitler got Germany going again, and then all of a sudden we plundered into war again. So I used to read a lot of general interest reading, and somebody bought me a book called Inside the Third Reich by Albert Speer, and Albert Speer being he wasn't hung at Nuremberg trials. He got 20 years in Spandau because he actually apologised. He said, "I didn't know, I should have known, and I'm sorry," and the rest of the Nazis laughed because he did know about what the extermination of the Jews. But anyway, he got let off being hung. But anyway, when moral of the story is, I ended up finding out down the track that my past life, I've had one life incarnate on this planet previous, and it was as a Nazi soldier in the war, and I didn't know this.
When you mentioned it the last time, that struck a chord with a couple of people.
So
it's interesting. What you're just saying is important if people go back to the other part.
Yeah, okay. So I actually have had met, especially I'll cut to the chase. I brought this book in to my house, or started reading it, and it was a real page turner. It was probably one of the closest looks at Hitler from one of his closest people. Speer was his favourite at one point. Anyway, things of a spiritual or nature in the apartment just kicked off massively. Stuff was being moved around. There was my stepdaughter was just being terrorised in her sleep. Night terrors, like you wouldn't want to be a child of her age. It just wasn't right. But like, we'd be sleeping in our bedroom, and like, you hear the little pitter patter of feet, and we'd be, okay, Angel, back to bed, honey, because she was at that age where she's getting up and what's going on and this, that, whatever. And sometimes a little pitter-patter of feet would come down the hallway and we're like, Angel, off you go, back to bed now, honey, Angel. And then I'd get up and have a look, and that'd be a real eerie feeling. I'd look in and Angel's fast asleep. But, yeah, it was, oh, who's that? There was a pitter-patter of little feet, and there was no Angel. She was dead asleep, and, it was just something came over this house that I would have thought a demonic nature maybe. But we'd be watching TV, all three of us. We were watching TV in the living room, and we all kind of turned and looked down the hallway at the same time because we've seen a silhouette or someone just walked straight across the hallway. And we all go, oh, yeah, okay, no worries. And I was pretty much a skeptic at this point. Kind of was tuned into believed in the spiritual world and this kind of stuff, but it hadn't really come face to face with a ghost or an entity or whatever. Anyway, so I'm reading this book, and sometimes I'd put it up like a top cupboard. I had these double door mirrors in my bedroom, which cupboard, and would put this book up at a high place, and apparently once I basically had to go and see a shaman, a famous shaman, shamanic witch in Australia named Rebecca Ryan, because it was just getting too much to ignore at the house. Because sometimes me and my partner would be at each other's throats because I was training to come back and on contract with the Victorian cricket squad, and I had a couple of credit cards. There was an emergency credit card, and I went out and bought a couple of things for my training. There was just a side note. There's a product called the BioTuner, and it was created by Dr. Bob Beck, and it's actually for the mind. You clip it to your ears, and it shoots 1,000 megahertz of electrical current through the brain. Brilliant product. And it's called the BioTuner. Bought one of those. Bought some Reyes boxing gloves. And I think some barefoot running shoes. Anyway, so they're brand new, and they're gone missing. They've gone missing. No one's taken them out of my bag at training or anything like that. They've been moved around the house, and one of these people okay, I've said, I'll just leave my stuff where it is because this is where I keep it, and I'll come. The missus has moved it or whatever. That's normally what I thought. We're at each other's throats, and she's saying, I haven't seen it, I haven't moved it, whatever. I was like, well, hey, it was just here, wait, you're angry that I used the credit card and blah, 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 because I, spent the money on myself and, to do this and that, and be at each other's throats, and, and the stuff was nowhere to be found. Turned the house upside down, and there wasn't much to turn upside down in my Melbourne apartment. And then it would be like a day later that this BioTuner would just be maybe an inch under the bed sitting there, and it's like, come on, man, I would have seen it if it was there, but at night time getting a lot nightly sleep paralysis that we talked about last time, and this stuff would come along with mental images, graphic images of what you'd probably just flashes of images of stuff that is, blood, like animal kind of sacrifice, maggots, rotting corpse, just nasty images flashing through your mind.
I have heard that before. That's not that's not uncommon. But you have sent a couple of pictures over. Do you want me to go to any of those pictures?
Just hold the phone on those, mate. I was just going to get through to that we kind of a couple of years later ended up in Germany, and obviously, when we went down to Nuremberg, we really Nazi'd it up with the Nuremberg rally grounds and that kind of stuff. But that comes a little bit later. But basically, these entities or whatever they are, and these ones were definitely negative. And they came in with this book or stirred up from the past life, because when I did get to going down to see this shamanic witch, she said that, you were a part of the SS who were, they were mucking around with the occult, and they were making blood oaths for this life and the next life and all lives. They will be, loyal to, blood and soil or whatever Heinrich Himmler was getting into and this kind of stuff. That's what kind of was stirring up a lot of stuff. But these negative entities, like that, the feeling that you would get when you were about to get some of this sleep paralysis, there is just for that moment that this thing obviously attached or affected you or whatever was probably some of the most just despair, sorrow, and just anger, or hatred, but just so hard to describe. Like and you kind of shake it off and go, wow, what the was that? That kind of got a hold of me, and because they could almost put, I don't know whether it's where they're from or what they're made up of or what, like whether they're demons or whatever, and they could kind of, you could feel what they are, or mate, yeah, not cool at all. But I found that they could, when you kind of asleep and you're dreaming, and so dreams kind of don't make sense, but you realize you're in a dream. So you'll be driving along in a car that's not yours. You look next to you and it's someone from high school that you haven't seen. They just go, hey, what are you doing here? And then you kind of look at those purple trees and you're like, yeah, I'm dreaming. I'm having a dream right now. Well, what would happen with I think that these entities can affect, and from everything I've learned, because they're not human. They don't understand how the human mind works when we're asleep.
Who is they?
What I'd say, these are negative entities, because there's definitely stuff creeping around the house. We're seeing it, we're feeling it, we're hearing disembodied voices. The missus has gone full depression mode, like down, doesn't like the house but won't leave the house. That strange kind of attachment type thing. Incidentally, like it was saying just before, in the bedroom there was these closet with big double door mirrors, and like my girlfriend at the time was this little 5'3" Filipino girl, and he's just like not a bad bone in her body at all, just kind of like happy, whatever. And one night she just started ripping into me, and there was things coming out of her mouth that she it just wasn't her. She was rah at me, and I was just feeling that the hatred or anger. And then at the point that I saw from behind her something black, shadow form mass shoot out from behind her. It's that exact point that she stopped yelling with aggression, and kind of had this kind of didn't know what she was doing, and just burst into tears and started crying. And I think that it was some type of demonic oppression or influencing her that just made her rage out. And then I saw it leave from behind her body, just shoot out from the side. And it was at that exact point that she kind of broke down and started crying, like almost not knowing why she was being so aggressive towards me. But just going back to the dreams, like these things could, because they don't understand how we dream or how our mind works or the way we interact with each other, because I don't believe that from here these are portaled in or from hell dimension or whatever. They kind of, when they're manipulating your dreams, they're projecting in what they think. So you, like a lot of the vivid dreams that I had was me in my apartment, and everything is in place as it is in real life, and it's almost strange. You don't normally dream like that. So and there'd be dreams where I'm being quite violent, or someone's being violent, or in this particular apartment there's an entity that I can't see. I know that I'm supposed to be afraid of it, but I'm not. And I challenge it. I was like, okay, mate, you think you're this and that. Come on, let's go. And then, but like, normally the dream will end when I just get thrown into the ceiling or out the window with force from something that I can't see. Anyway, leading to going and seeing Rebecca, because I was kind of trying to tell myself this stuff's not happening, just trying to ignore it. Going, yep, maybe I just need a little bit more sleep or something. But we couldn't really deny it. And then one of those dreams where it's really vivid. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and my partner's sitting on the lounge chair in the living room, and I see her just get grabbed by the leg. This is in a dream. Grabbed by the leg, thrown up, and she's screaming. She's being attacked, thrown around, and that's where I'm going to get up and do something. And boom! I wake up. And I woke up and I was sleeping on the couch that in the dream she'd been thrown around and in a crazy way. And it was quite kind of like, I was like in my mind thinking, because at this stage I was like, well, good thing there's no such thing as ghosts or monsters and, all good here. Anyway, I'm just going to get up and do something, and couldn't get up. I was pinned, and then something just kind of like constricted around my throat. And in front of me, the outline of a shoulder, and then a head, and the other shoulder, and then the face came through, and this thing had teeth gnashing together, and it was screeching but roaring at the same time. And it was not. It has kind of like black shiny head, like black eyes set back, but these teeth, almost like Venom, almost like the comic book character Venom. And this thing was about to just rip into me, and I couldn't get off the couch. And then right at that moment, I think the missus had been down to Michelle's patisserie to get a so I can get a coffee and some lunch. And as the front door opened, boom, this thing let me go and disappeared. And I just sat up like what the, and she come up the stairs and she looks at me, she goes, what's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost. And I said, I think I just did. And then because my personal trainer at the time, this big Maori fella, not scared of nothing. Like he was once were warriors type guy, and I'd been up at his place for his birthday 3 weeks before, and then he just disappeared, it was like, mate, what's going on? I need my updated program, blah, 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 and finally about 3 weeks ago, he goes, come to my place 9 p.m, be there. And it sounded really serious. Oh, okay, champ, no worries. I'll come up. Anyway, knock on the door. He opens the door, and he basically then kind of sat back down straight away, and he's kind of looking around, and he looked a bit agitated and a bit fearful. And I said, what's going on, bro? You all right? And he goes, bro, since you were here a couple of weeks ago, he goes, stuff's been moving around my house. I said, what do you mean? I said, what, you're just going a bit too hard on the, wacky tobacco or what, mate? He goes, no. He goes, because we're, led a colourful life. I'm like, oh, what you're saying that the police have come in and moving stuff around and, maybe bugging your house, and they turn your lights on, and you come home and go, turn all the lights off, and they're just, playing, messing around with you. Anyway, and he goes, no. He goes, all the doors are locked and everything like that. And I said, okay, yeah. And he kind of said to me, he goes, mate, he goes, if I'm going to keep training you, he goes, you need to clear your life. He goes, you need to clear, what's going on around you, because you left something here. And he goes, well, I can't train. He goes, go and see this woman. And he gave me a card for Rebecca Ryan, who's a shamanic witch. And when the day that this alien being, what I'd call maybe a reptilian of some kind, after that thing terrorised me on the couch, and the missus goes, oh, you look like you've just seen a ghost. I said, where's that card for that, that woman? Because I wasn't into that kind of, I wasn't really into shamans or clairvoyance or anything like that. I said, well, let's give this a go, because I can't handle this shit anymore. We're going to go. Anyway, so off we went down to see Rebecca, and it was almost like something was trying to stop us from seeing her that day, because when I called her to book in, she said, yeah, come down to such and such store. It's on Glen Huntley Road, and it's one of those stores that sells crystals and natural healing stuff or whatever. And she goes, I'll be there on the Tuesday. So I've written down Tuesday, 4:30, whatever. As I got out the car, my arm's been pulled, and I just thought it was Mrs. I said, what? And she goes, what? I said, you just grabbed my arm. She goes, no, I didn't. Whatever. And I just walked into the store. I said, oh, I'm here to see Rebecca. I've got an appointment at 4:30. She goes, no, Rebecca doesn't work here on Tuesdays. And I put out a piece of paper and was like, well, I'm pretty sure she does. I mean, it's Tuesday 4:30. You know, because I think because I was being affected by what was around me at that point in time. I was a pretty like angry, aggressive kind of character. Kind of like, well, I wouldn't have. I'm not an invalid. Like I wouldn't have written down Tuesday if it wasn't Tuesday. Like it was. I did need a lot of kind of, I think, self-healing and a little bit more love back then. I definitely wasn't in love frequency, mate. No, hadn't discovered the good book yet either. But anyway, so she goes, no, she doesn't work on Tuesday. So I ring her up and I said, hey, listen, you said Tuesday 4:30. She goes, no, I wouldn't have said that because I don't work at the store. And I said, all right, okay, well, what's the deal? And she goes, well, I'm just around the corner. Why don't you come round? It's 47, I think it was Ormond Street and blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, we'll give it a go. I said, come on, babe, let's go. And round the corner, because I'm thinking, because I mean, the day that you're getting choked on the couch by a reptilian, you're like, let's go see that, mystic healer or whatever. I'll give it a go. But then, like, when it comes time for the appointment, you're like, yeah, should we just, cut a track and go home? Do I need this? Daytime, it's not 3 o'clock in the morning and things creeping around. So you kind of like, I think I'm all good, but no, let's go around there. So we're knocking on the front door and, nobody answers. And I said, babe, let's go. Like, wasting our time. So she goes, no, I'll call her one more time. I'll call her. I said, hey, did you say it was number 47? And she's like, yeah. I said, well, I've just been knocking on the door for 5 minutes. She goes, well, I'm sitting in the front room. There's no way that I wouldn't have been able to hear. I said, well, I said, if you open the front door, you'll see me. And so anyway, I go in there and we sit down and I'm sitting there, arms folded across from her, like, and she's just some general questions. I'm just sitting there going, oh yeah, this is what are we going to do here? Because as I said, I wasn't very enlightened at all. Anyway, it's almost like she could tell that I wasn't buying what she was selling at that point, and she kind of validated herself. She goes, when you were riding your BMX bike out the front of your house and you went over the handlebars and hit your head on the concrete on the road, and your sister was laughing at you. She goes, were you knocked out, or was it just the kind of the hematoma on your head that you had? And I just looked at her and went, well, like I was 13 and my sister was 15. And I was like, how did you know that? And I wasn't speaking to my sister at the time. I wasn't going to call her and go, hey, look, are you setting me up or what? Like, what's the go with this? There's no way she could know that. So then I was like, okay. She was just sitting there just asking some general questions. And then all of a sudden she grabs a book. She goes, okay, you just let me in. I was like, what? And she just started writing in a book, and she goes, okay, yep, no worries here. She goes, your liver, Hep B. Oh, they put that in there. We'll take that out like this. And like she's ripping through this stuff because I did have a Hep B infection. It didn't make sense, and I kind of lost a lot of weight, nearly died in hospital, and it was no kind of reason for it. Actually, I spoke to someone else the other day from the Secret Space Program who said something very, very similar. There's no reason they should have had it, but they did. Anyway, so I'm kind of like sitting there, and as she's writing in this book and saying all this stuff, I'm kind of sitting there, and it feels like, I haven't drunk the water that she's offered me or anything like that, but I'm kind of sitting there like kind of getting all sleepy and dozy, like I'm drugged. I was like, yeah, you've drugged me, like this. And she's having an effect on me, like from what she was writing in a book, and she could see things. And anyway, she goes, something kind of popped in and started telling her, and she started arguing with something about, whether I was here or in a hell dimension, and she said, no, that's against the rules. He's been, he's been punished for his crimes. He's sorry for the people he murdered. He's sorry for the people he tortured. He's sorry, if this I was going, wow, I kind of bumped it, chimed in. I said, excuse me. I said, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? She goes, you're a little bit of a nasty pasty in your previous life, and you've been born with a medallion of penance from the previous life, but it doesn't work like that. Everybody gets a clean slate, but you've come in and with no guardians around you and wearing this medallion of penance. And it's funny because through my junior cricket career and just life and whatever, I was just so accident prone. I was always going to the hospital to get cut up, and oh, Arron's injured again. Oh, what's he done this time? Oh, and it was just like it really was maybe a medallion of penance. Just I mean, I'm like being cut to pieces now. But I do come back from it pretty well. But anyway, she was just saying to me like, oh, my God, you're so angry. The whole right side of your body is just on fire. She goes, quick, stand up. And she got some incense out and she told me to start, circling my body and kind of saying that this is my body and my body alone kind of thing. And I was going, okay, what's going on here? And as it kind of circling around your body, and you get down to your legs, and like all of a sudden legs are just cramping, just unbelievable cramps and almost like burning. And by the time I got down to my calves, I'm going, what is going on? And she's saying, well, these things don't really want to let go. They've been hooking into you for a while, and they don't want to be cleared off anyway. So she kind of said, like what I thought was demonic attack and stuff at night time. She said, yeah, 100% correct. And she said, oh, what's going on? And I kind of said, well, I was reading this book. And she said, oh, that's because she said, get rid of the book. He said, but don't burn it, because the Nazis used to burn books. And so she said, take it and get rid of it, or put it in a box and put it low down somewhere out of eyesight. And that kind of takes its power away. But when I was putting it up on the cupboard up high, in my cupboard, it was kind of like giving these things that are attached to it in my previous life a lot more power for some reason. So she said, keep it down low or get rid of it. Anyway, I was like, if this is causing all this stuff in the apartment, well then I'll finish the book, catch you later, in the bin. And incidentally, we forgot to take, just funnily, the bins didn't go out for like 3 weeks. So it's almost like this book was hanging on. And when I did throw the book out, I was kind of violently sick and kind of threw up for a couple of hours after I just initially threw it out. And so that's my little initiation into trying to clear off some of the negative stuff from maybe a previous life, from being a Nazi in SS, and it wasn't it was a good guy, and carried some of that through. But that was kind of, the haunting of 13A Derbyshire Lane, which eventually I did nearly get stabbed to death in 2013. So not great memories of Derbyshire Lane, but unlucky 13.